Today on Revealing Wholeness, let's get an inside look into the phone conversations with Dr. Troy as he shares his experience, insights, and various topics related to you and your health and wellness. From discussions of the latest medical research to answering common questions that you may have and concerns about your health, this podcast is packed with valuable information for anyone seeking to improve their overall well-being. Whether you're looking for tips on nutrition, fitness, mental health, or general lifestyle advice, join us for the engaging conversation that might just change the way you approach your own health journey. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and join us for an engaging phone discussion with Dr. Troy.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy-Munson. I love talking with older people that have a lot of knowledge and a lot of life experience. It is a gift that they hand out like candy on some of the things that they tell me. And it's such a blessing to be around those individuals that are like that. I think upon how I was 20 years ago and how I raised my kids. And as I got better quite quickly, I let them basically be this wonderful teacher on how to raise them and ask better questions and approach each aspect of their life a little bit more clearly and become kind of their guide rather than their teacher. And so a really good guide asks great questions. Hey, do you have anywhere that's this? Well, let me ask a little bit better questions about that. And so my word of wisdom to older people, I'm going to start with telling this story. My father, about a year before he passed away, so this is probably 7 years ago, and when I really started digging into people's minds and helping them get into some deeper level trauma issues and having wonderful success with that and helping people liberate old belief systems and garbage in their head that they knew they didn't want it, but it kept I want to say causing, but it kept redoing certain things in their life. You know, it's like we do something. Let's say that you stop at a stoplight, all of a sudden turns red and you get irritated. And you think, how many times have I been irritated at a red stoplight in my life? This is yet again the 1,000th time. We don't do things once or twice. We do them tens of hundreds of thousands of times. And it's a marvel to me that I don't learn some things faster and that we just don't do it, but we don't. And we don't want to see something. We really don't want to see something. And so what I find from my older clients is they tend to be the most stuck. And for those of you out there that love a biblical scholar, I'm sure you probably are like, oh yeah, Wineskin. Indeed. It's really easy to become an old wineskin and you cannot take on new wine. And I want to expand this a little bit for us because we can be stuck even very early on in age. And I'm going to expand that in another podcast, but I'm going to give you maybe a little bit of a look-see here. But before I do that, I want to finish with my father because my father was having some difficulty. I didn't, at the time, obviously, I didn't understand why. Hey, guess what? I'm going to be dead in 8 months. He didn't tell me that. And so as he began to unpack some of these things for me, I literally took him back to some events in his life that were difficult for him. And I would ask him this question: what decision did you make about you personally when you think on this subject or this time frame in your life, this situation? And he would sit there for about like 10 seconds. He goes, well, I decided I wasn't going to do that again. I said, no, that's about the situation and about future situation. I want to know what you decided directly about you personally. And so he'd sit there for a few more seconds and he'd go, well, I decided that I wasn't going to be in that situation ever again. I said, no, that's not what I'm asking. And it was really quite painful to watch him actually just staunchly not get it. And I marveled at it for a bit. And I even tried to explain it further. I said, look, when that happened to you when you were 8 years old, your brain made up a reason or an excuse or a belief of why you got treated that way. And based on that situation that you encountered, your brain tried to make it okay that that's how you were treated. And so it created a belief that if this happened to me and this other individual thought that it would be okay, even though that we know as rational individuals that it was not okay, even though we know that, even though we knew it, you still created a belief. And I can see that it's running. Can you tell me? And I literally had him go through, like, tell me what was going on. What was the horse that you were on? What was happening around you? Can you see any sights and colors? I led them through all of this, and he would not do it. There was like something in him that said, no, I will not give up this piece of me that I've lived with so long that it is a part of me, and to let go of it, I would cease to exist and be me. And ultimately, the older we get with any of these really entrenched belief patterns inside of our mind, the more that it is just like that. It literally has become one with us. How many of you out there know somebody that they just have this character thing that they do, whether it's laugh at everything or it make a funny joke about anything and everything, or they make a face, or they do a harumph, whatever it is. They have something that they just do, like almost like a tick. And if you make them aware of it, they get a bit agitated and irritated. And yet we know that they're doing it because of something, and they will not see. And so this wisdom to older people is wisdom that I have seen based on dealing with many people, hundreds of people. I'm beginning to see when this entrenchment or this digging in of one's heels and deciding not to change comes from. And the biggest gift we can be to ourselves is to not do this, is to be pliable like a new wineskin, to be stretchy, to be comfortable being stretched, to being comfortable being uncomfortable, to being okay with something new. And yet, if you're one of those folks out there, dude, I'm already a creature of habit, I'm only 33. It's okay. You could stretch too. But know that that creature of habit is yet a belief that was established sometime early in life that you may have gotten some sort of punishment for doing something new, for doing something different. You may have been squashed by a teacher, classmate, maybe a boss when you were 16 or 17. Maybe it's your friends that didn't want to see you change. Something wasn't okay. There's a book you should read about this very topic. It's very fascinating. It's called The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. And I just, having read that book, it was profound, his insights, because he grew up on a reservation. He was an Indian. And way back, he dealt with an older teacher. And this older teacher literally told him, because he knew he was really smart, and he saw his sister, his older sister, who was very intelligent, basically, I don't want to say die, but succumb to the res life. Indians, and it culminates to the end of the book when he talks about the definition of an Indian. And they're nomadic, they move around. But early on in the book, he talked about His mom is living a mile from where she was born. His dad is living 5 miles from where he was born, or something like that. His grandmother is living, literally in practically the same house as she was born in. And they never leave. That's the problem. They never leave this place. And so he had a decision to make at age 14. And he decided to go outside the res and go to a white hick school. And it made all the difference because he wasn't going to stay there and die there. And people that, we marvel at somebody who is 80 years old that goes back to college. And we think, there's a new wineskin. She or he never let their wineskin get all crusty and hard and wrinkly. They kept it nice and pliable and stretchy and never let the scar tissue set in and get stiff and tight and restricted. And so at any age, though, we can become a new wineskin at any age. I'm too old. Well, if you wish to believe that, then it's true for you. I don't have the energy. If you wish to believe that, then that will be true for you. But if you wish to not listen to that head of yours and rather expand the mind yet again, more and more and even more, that would be an awesome thing that I think we should be expanding right up to the moment of death. Talking to my team today, we were talking about death, and I said, as we approach that moment, it should be something like, I can't wait. I'm so excited. It's going to be amazing. And yet none of us think that way. We're like terrified of death. And it should be the first thing that we undo in all of us. There should be absolutely no fear of death whatsoever. Every fear that enters our mind, and I say almost every thought that enters your mind that you can tell it's fear-based will almost always be, at the very end of it, the fear of death. And I've written numerous podcasts or spoken on numerous podcasts on this idea of how to approach fear in one's mind and to say no to it and to find the end of it and realize that yet again, here's another thought of the fear of death. I'm going to let that go. And so then it begins something that you start realizing, you know what, I need to have a foundation. What does happen when I'm done with this dust and water I call a meat suit of a body? I can't wait to find out, honestly. But while I'm here, I'm going to have a miraculous, amazing, joyful, loving, light-filled experience. I recommend you do the same, but you still have to choose and make the decision to do that. Instead of living however it is you're living, if you don't like it, it does take a brand new decision in order to go a new direction. Because the direction you're going is a decision you made years, decades, and maybe even longer ago. So this is not just a word of wisdom to elderly or to older people or to just random people. This is a word of wisdom to all of us. Let's stay frosty, people. Let's do something incredible today because you deserve it. Until next time, I'm Dr. Troy Munson.